Okinawa.
I talk about a lot of obscure games on this channel, and I especially talk a lot about weird games, but even by my own standards, Okinawa Rush is special. It feels like the kind of thing you'd find in an old Angry Video Game Nerd episode. I first picked it up in 2022, about a year after it released. I remember playing it for about 15 minutes and thinking it was awesome, and then getting kind of sidetracked by something else and completely forgetting about it. Thus, it was left to gather dust in my backlog alongside a lot of other games at the time. In hindsight, I'm not sure how I was able to just put this game down and forget about it so easily. It follows our protagonist, Hiro. He's a master of Okinawan karate. His skills have granted him magical powers, and now the mysterious Black Mantis clan is after his training scroll so they can learn his forbidden techniques. The intro is already wild, and it doesn't even begin to touch how bizarre and insane this game is. Before the game even starts, you're presented with a bloated and kind of confusing menu with a million options. There's a dojo that has normal training, kata training, combat, and room customization. There's also a shop, an equipment menu, and a prologue with the Dream and Elixir quest. I have no idea what's going on, so I start with training. It takes all of about 10 seconds in training to realize the combat system is both cool and batshit insane. You have a basic attack button that can be augmented by a laundry list of motion inputs. You have your classic fireball, dragon punch, stuff like that. Nearly every special input in the game can also be just framed, including bootleg electric wind god fist. Between that and the amount of grapples, I know for sure this moveset was designed by a Tekken player. You have high, mid, and low strikes, but most of the time that really isn't gonna matter. After I got my fill of training, I went into the prologue and jumped into the Dream.
I gave you enough time. Okinawa is mine.
This is a scripted fight, so it doesn't really matter what you do here. Also, if you're wondering why my gi is a disgusting piss yellow color, it's because I checked out the shop and bought dye. Apparently it just permanently changes the color of your outfit until you buy a new one, and there's no way of disabling it. I get a new one later though, don't worry.
Wake up! Bad dream.
It seemed like more than just a dream.
Try to relax on your fishing trip today. I'll work on some herbal remedies to help clear your head.
The voice acting here is kind of stiff and disjointed, probably because of the script. I guess it's faithful to the dubs of martial arts films it's paying tribute to. I wonder what language this game was translated from. Okay, yeah, that would do it. The first actual segment of the game you play as Hiro's wife Ayumi, collecting ingredients for her elixir. For some reason she has a rainbow trail following behind her everywhere she walks. Anyways, I collect some berries and return a sword to the shrine, then...
Stop your squabbling!
Use Ayumi's special move, Tiger Parts her cubs, to stop the children squabbling. Press down, plus jump and attack buttons together.
You'd think by the way the game randomly interjects here that this is how it tutorializes most of the mechanics. No, this only happens one other time after this. Literally within 10 seconds of this moment, it decides to teach me how to use my charge attack solely through text instead.
Where is the training manual? Give it to us.
I don't know where it is.
Now we're on to the actual first level. You can tell by now that everything about this game's presentation is absolutely top-notch. The pixel art is gorgeous, the animations are fluid, and the music hits really hard. It makes an incredible first impression that does not prepare you at all for the kind of jank awaiting.
Blocking enemy attacks. Tap towards the direction of the danger to parry.
The truth is revealed.
Next, Dragon Ball Z Kai.
There's no actual lockout window on this parry, so if you just mash forward, you end up parrying basically every attack in the game. There's an underlying sense of genius here hidden under a thick layer of jank. It feels like the definition of what an 8-year-old kid in the 90s thinks a perfect video game would be. And in a lot of ways, they're right. There's a near constant push and pull between the complex combat mechanics and a total lack of cohesion or polish that make them fully realize their potential. Take the parry in the high mid-low system, for example. It sounds cool in concept, and sometimes it is, but when the average enemy encounter in the game consists of about 40 ninjas piling up and running straight at you, fights end up looking more like this. I need to stress early on that I absolutely love this game. I might rip on it a bit for being janky, but I'm ripping on it in the same way you rip on your friends because you like them. It's a janky mess, but there's literally nothing else like it, and once you learn the ins and outs, it comes together pretty nicely. Mostly. The way enemies go flying or explode into gore when they're killed is amazing. Hits feel satisfying, and chaining together combos as you master your toolkit is great. Motion inputs are kind of janky on the D-pad and often miss. They come out much cleaner on Fight Stick, but using that makes the platforming feel terrible, so there's not really a perfect solution. Unless you really want to try hard and use a leverless or something. Eventually I opted for the 8-bit Do Neo Geo controller because I'm a sicko and my autism makes me play every video game with a different controller. There are about 15 throws in the game, including a big swing and a tombstone pile driver. They fulfill different enough roles in combat to actually be kind of interesting mechanically. The only thing I think Hero's moveset is really missing is an Azuna drop. There's also one more attack type in the game you unlock pretty quickly into the first level. The rage meter functions the same way as a super meter in a fighting game. When it's partially full, it allows you to do the fireball special, and once it's maxed out, you have two options. Ki Stomp is your shmup bomb. It instantly kills everything but bosses, even if the enemies are off screen. The other attack is a Metsu Hadoken. It kinda sucks against crowds, but it does have great single target damage for bosses at least. Sometimes. As you're gonna see later, damage values in this game are wildly inconsistent, and I'm not really sure why. The first level shows you pretty much everything about the core gameplay. You'll be blowing up hordes of ninjas, parrying spike traps, and untying villagers kidnapped by the demon ninja army. You know, the usual stuff a respected karate master does. Despite being about a Japanese man and taking place in Japan, a lot of the overtop violence, cheesy dialogue, and general attitude kind of feel more akin to a classic Shaw Brothers film out of Hong Kong. Once you pick up that first sword, though, this is the Sandro moment I've been waiting for. Weapons in this game have pretty limited durability, which makes sense because they instantly bisect pretty much anything that isn't a boss. Cleaving through an entire small army of ninjas in a single sweep of the blade and watching them fall like bamboo shoots is exactly the kind of ludicrous arcade action that makes me forgive and forget how awful it feels to platform in this platforming video game. Jumping is bizarrely sticky. You kind of magnetize to surfaces, which sounds helpful, but it ends up making movement feel sluggish and inconsistent. It's not like Castlevania where you have no air control, but the air control you do have is like trying to land the plane in Top Gun.
Up, up, I'm hitting up.
Pressing down and then jump gives you a super jump similar to King of Fighters. You go flying up about 1,000 feet in the air and land wherever the game decides to drop you. Thankfully, this doesn't matter most of the time since there aren't that many instant death pits in the game. But the absurd fall speed combined with how fast everything moves that sometimes the game will just... Come on. I'm pretty sure I died to this exact same spike every single time I played this level. I managed to fight my way to the end of the level and face off against the first boss fight.
The Black Mantis sends his regards. Hand over the training scroll, or die.
I'll be sure to deliver the manual personally after I step over your dead body.
Something's been bothering me about Hero, though. I swear I recognize his voice from somewhere. Hold on, let me look something up.
Trapaholics Mixtapes. This is a certified hood classic.
Huh. This boss fight is kind of a pushover. Thankfully, bosses actually scale pretty well with difficulty. Instead of just getting stat buffs, they actually get a lot of new attack patterns and behavior changes that makes them more engaging to fight. One of the coolest parts about difficulty in this game is that it's determined by belt color, which actually changes on your character depending on what you picked. If you start from the prologue, it defaults to green belt and you have to exit out of the stage to change it, but I ended up playing most of the game on purple belt. Stage 2 is a great showcase for the kind of level design the game has. You have to get past this magic barrier, but the only way to lower it is by breaking eggs scattered around the area. There's a few on ground level, one in a cave section down below, and 3 way up in the treetops. You can break them in any order you want, and the amount of verticality packed into these areas is honestly really impressive. Most levels in this game are mostly linear with some minor key hunting and a ton of secrets and extra places to discover. It kind of reminds me of Doom in this way, as weird as that comparison might seem. It's not a Metroidvania, and it kind of falls into its own unique middle ground that serves to complement the combat incredibly well. This stage also demonstrates once again how obscenely good the pixel art is. Just look at this single spot on the map. You have a parallax layer of clouds in the background passing by the moonlit sky. The railing in the foreground layers over the character sprite, and leaves blowing in the wind are layered on top of that. There's so much depth and detail packed into every inch of the screen. Despite that, it somehow never manages to feel cluttered. Enemies are bright against the environment and they have distinct silhouettes and smooth animations that keep everything feeling readable. You can toggle off the CRT filter, but it's on by default. As someone who owns way too many CRTs and is incredibly picky about how most of these filters look, I was shocked by how tasteful and well implemented this one was. The art was clearly designed around it, and the slight pixel softening and scan lines just tie everything together really nicely. The boss for this stage is a living tree.
Beautiful, aren't they? Perhaps my greatest work yet. And what a fine specimen I see before me. You shall make a perfect addition to my exhibition.
All I see around here is a load of dead wood.
Pro tip for this fight: the lanterns around the arena can be lit by your fireball and charge attack. If you use a low kick on them, they'll get knocked over and flying into the boss, which absolutely drains his health bar and makes this incredibly easy. Unfortunately, I didn't know that this was a thing until much later, so the fight ended up looking more like this. Stage 3 is much of the same, by which I mean absolutely killer pixel art and kind of janky but charming combat. There's a pretty steady stream of new enemies every stage. A lot of them are variants of earlier enemies, but they do have more in their designs than just color changes, and they have pretty unique attacks that radically change how they feel to fight. Probably the best enemies in the game are the Armored Samurai and the Kusarigami Baiken. They have a much higher tendency to block, which forces you to slow down and stop button mashing and actually think about what you're gonna do. This level also has the gimmick of rooms you can enter, which is kind of cute, I guess. This gets reused a bit later, mostly for secrets. The boss for this stage are 3 old men who keep trying to talk over each other.
Finally, a real challenger has arrived. Long live the main course.
They're probably the most fun boss in the game since they fight similar to you. You'll fight them in succession and they all have slightly different styles, like the purple one who keeps doing Hell Wheel every time I try to jump. They still aren't that hard though. You get a yellow crystal for killing the last one, which is explained in the first bit of actual plot development since the game began.
Let's make a deal. In exchange for that gemstone you're holding, I will take you wherever you wish.
So, are you going to tell me why you want this stone so much?
Well, let me tell you a little story. Years ago, I was out walking one evening when I saw a glowing fireball crash into the earth. It was a meteor encrusted with 5 curious gemstones. Being a savvy trader, I removed the gems to be sold for a pretty penny. One by one came my customers. I knew most of them personally. All but one, a man in a cloaked hood whose name I can't recall. After they brought the crystals, nobody saw them again. And the last stone was stolen. My shop burned to the ground.
This is pretty much the only hint the game gives you on how to unlock the true ending, and it's not a very good one. If tracking down 5 mysterious crystals from a meteorite sounds confusing, don't worry. I promise it's about 1,000 times more obtuse than that. Stage 4 opens with an insane section fighting through tight hallways full of zombies and green cacodemons. The color palette here is absolutely gorgeous and the enemies are awesome, which is crazy because this minute-long segment is literally the only time you will ever see this tile set or any of these enemies in the entire game. After you clear it out and go through the door,
Hey there guys, welcome to the dojo bar. What can I get you?
sure man, why not? At this point, you're fighting geisha that fly in on gliders, gigantic mutant scorpions, and killer bees. There was never much semblance of real grounded martial arts here, but whatever was there is long gone at this point, and the rule of cool is in charge. The change of scenery is pretty welcome. The bright island environment with overgrown, abandoned temples look about as good as everything else in the game. Whoever did the interior design knows exactly where to place a tasteful mountain of human bones. There's a mid-boss against a rapping geisha.
You'll never defeat me on my home ground, no matter how many of my eggs you pound. As long as one exists, I shall always persist.
There's also a segment where we can see the shopkeeper getting kidnapped in the background. He keeps talking for like a full minute here, but you can barely hear him over the music and combat.
Any minute, they are the greatest martial arts experts I have ever seen. You fool.
It also has... hold on. It also has the funniest boss interaction in the whole game.
Fresh ramen, made from the finest villager stock. You should try some.
And you should try getting out of my way.
Well, if you won't join me for lunch, then I insist you stay for dinner.
At one point I die against him, and when I reload, he changes from green to red. I have no idea what caused this, but he's been red every single time I've replayed this level since. We're already onto the final stage, and it does a pretty good job at feeling like a culmination of everything that came before it. You fight pretty much every enemy in the game, save for the bosses, as you battle your way down to the depths of the Mantis Lord's lair. Near the end of the stage, you talk to the shopkeeper, and he drops an insane piece of lore.
Listen carefully. The meteor. It's down below. It's alive. It speaks to me. The gemstones. They're part of its body. It wants them back so that it can leave this world. Only then will the clan be truly defeated.
The meteor is a sentient alien being that crash landed on Earth, and the crystals are literally a part of its body that was stolen to grant superhuman powers to the bosses, which is an absolutely wild thing to just throw in right before the final boss. The Mantis Lord is honestly the easiest boss fight in the entire game.
Mr. Yoshima, so good to meet you in the flesh. As you can see, your children are fine, and I am sure you will be pleased to know that they are now part of the clan. Such a pity your wife couldn't join us. If only she had handed over your training manual, we could have avoided all this unpleasantness. I can see it's unlikely that you will be sharing your training secrets, so why not join us? and we can be one happy family. In a few moments, there will be no clan, and you can join your family of demons in hell!
I have no idea why, but he just completely gets steamrolled if you're even half decent. And I know it wasn't luck because I had to beat this game about a dozen times for this video. After you kill him, you rescue your kids and walk off into the sunset.
It's okay. Over my shoulder. Let's get you home.
Except... So in order to get to the true ending, you have to get the 5 magic crystals. Sounds easy enough, right? You get 1 for free from the stage 3 boss, so the other 4 can't be that hard. It turns out the only way to get the crystals is to decapitate each boss and stomp on their lifeless bodies so the crystal shoots out of their severed neck. It's the most metal thing ever, except for the fact that the game never even hints at needing to do this. Chances are you'll end up accidentally decapitating one of them and getting a crystal without having any idea how or why it happened. How do you decapitate a boss? According to every guide I read, the uppercut and the high kick both guarantee a decapitation. This is a lie. The uppercut will decapitate some of the bosses sometimes. I figured this out the hard way after successfully uppercutting one boss and then having it not work repeatedly on the next one. The thing that really makes this suck is how inconsistent damage and special inputs are. Most of the time, a single misinput isn't that big of a deal, but if you accidentally kill a boss with literally any other move, you have to completely restart the entire stage. There's no reloading checkpoints. What should have taken 30 minutes ended up taking a full 5 hours, as I kept misinputting Charge Punch, or randomly doing way more damage than normal and killing the boss within seconds. At this point, the game was really getting on my nerves. Playing the same 10-minute stage isn't fun the 10th time when the janky combat is buckling under the weight of wanting me to do something even remotely precise. I took a break at some point during this mess to try out the other game modes. Training just teaches you the basics of the game, and it seems to increase your stats slightly. Kata training is basically a rhythm game with no music. I think it augments your stats based on your final score, but they don't repeatedly stack. Once you've hit S+ rank, they just max out. There are 2 other ways of boosting your stats as well. You can buy amulets that have seemingly random stats attached to them. The other way is to buy decorations for your dojo and use the feng shui system to create the optimal layout. The only problem is there's no actual rhyme or reason for how it works, so you end up just moving things around until you randomly find the best combination. You can also gamble for more money using this matching gems game, which statistically will always give you more money than it takes, so you can pretty much just farm this as long as you want to get money. After wasting a full day of my life collecting all the crystals and decorating my dojo, I was finally ready to finish the game. I fought my way through the final stage again, but right before I made it to Mantis Lord's lair I noticed this. These drafts always mark a crack in the wall that you can break for a secret, so I go in and find whatever all of this is. There's another secret wall at the end of this secret area with a training dummy. I don't know if there's any hint of how to solve this, probably not, but you literally just have to hit high, mid, low, and it spawns this potion. I pick it up and then... Every other boss in this game is a complete pushover, and I don't know what the hell happened with Shadow Mantis. This is the actual final boss of the game. I've done this fight about a dozen times, and I still don't really understand how it works. He only has a single health bar, unlike every other boss in the game, but he just doesn't take damage most of the time. The very first time I fought him, I killed him instantly with Ki Stomp, but I messed up trying to decapitate Mantis Lord again, and never managed to get this to work again. Fighting Shadow Mantis feels like the culmination of every bit of jank this game's combat has tied into one big metal asshole. Running this fight back to get the good ending took me a full 20 minutes that felt like running into a brick wall until it broke. I genuinely have no idea how I even started doing damage, but it just worked eventually. He's not visibly blocking or parrying any of my attacks, he's just eating them like it's nothing. Eventually I managed to brute force my way through this fight and kick off Mantis Lord's head in about 30 seconds.
Mr. Yoshima, and I am sure you will. Such a pity you're.
He dies for good this time, and I rescue my kids. I'm about 8 hours into the game at this point, most of which was spent repeating the same levels over and over again to get the crystals, but it's finally over. Oh, mother... So it turns out all of that is only half of what you need for the good ending, and instead, it just gives you the second bad ending. The good ending is even more convoluted than that. First, you have to go all the way back to the prologue, enter a secret area in the cave as a Yumi, and light a torch on the right side of this shrine. Then you have to replay the first level and light the left side torch to get a Yumi's amulet. Then you have to decapitate all 5 bosses and get their crystals. Then in the final level you have to rescue the shopkeeper, except unlike literally every other NPC in the game, you have to hold up to release him. Then you have to find the secret area in the room near the boss area, navigate through 50 instant death traps, jump over lava pits, kill a horde of ninjas, and find the meditation room. Apparently, you can hold up to meditate on these mats in different levels, which the game obviously doesn't explain. After you meditate here, you go down and then you find the secret lab beside Mantis Lord's lair. Then you input the secret code to get a Yumi's elixir and pour it on the amulet. The game doesn't even begin to hint at literally any of this, and it just expects you to figure it out somehow. At this point, I've wasted almost an entire day of my life and I'm angry. I know the only thing standing between me and being done with this game is Shadow Mantis, and this time I'm ready for him. After thoroughly embarrassing Shadow Mantis, I kick Mantis Lord's head off again, rescue my kids, and use the magical amulet to lift the curse and save them. Yippee. This is the actual true ending. Well, hero story at least. There are 2 other playable characters with their own stories. First up is Shin, Hiro's brother. He's a monk and one of his friends gets poisoned by the Mantis Lord. He's out to get revenge and find a Yumi's elixir to cure the poison. Thankfully, the requirements for the true ending for the other characters are way easier than Hiro's. All you need are the 5 crystals, the meditation room, and the elixir. You keep the crystals permanently once you've collected them as Hiro, so all I really need to do is replay the final level. Shin plays almost identical to Hiro aside from a few minor changes. It's kind of like the difference between Ken and Ryu in the early versions of Street Fighter 2. The biggest difference is that Hiro's spin kick is replaced by this charging fist attack, and it does great crowd control. The tombstone pile driver is replaced with a body slam, and apparently his stats are a little different, but I didn't feel much actual change. All the levels are the same, but you do get unique dialogue with bosses.
The Black Mantis sends his regards. And
Does he indeed? How does the saying go? Don't kill the messenger? Oh well, when needs must.
He has the same penchant for terrible one-liners as his brother. I took a break between Hero's ending and this one, so I cooled off and remembered how much fun it is to just fight things in this game. I get to Shadow Mantis again, and after so many failed runs messing up the true ending, I'm ready to take all my anger out again. After that, I make quick work of Mantis Lord. The true ending is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Shin destroys Mantis Lord, cures his friend, the monks celebrate, yada yada. If you get the bad ending as Shin, he becomes the next Mantis Lord. Wait, who the hell is that? The third and final character, Mei Lin, is arguably the most interesting.
Is that you?
It turns out her dad was one of the people the old man sold a crystal to, and it turned him into Mantis Lord. So not only is the meteor a living alien creature, the crystals are also parasites that turned martial artist masters into the bosses throughout the game. This is probably the most interesting idea the game has narratively, and you'd never know it without doing her out. Her story starts with an explosion knocking her out of a boat in her sleep where she washes up on the shore outside of Hiro's house. You can immediately tell that unlike Shin, who was mostly recycled from Hiro, Mei Lin's moveset is entirely unique. Certain moves fulfill the same role, like her fans replacing the fireball, and her scream replacing the ki stomp, but all the animations are entirely original and her basic and special moves are wildly different. Probably my favorite thing she has is this spinning forward attack with the fan. It doesn't use any of the rage meter, and it's by far the best crowd control tool in the entire game. Even the way she holds the weapon is entirely different from the other two. Despite having no relation to Hiro or Shin, she still has the same awful one-liners.
The Black Mantis sends his regards.
The tip of your head will be perfect for my rock collection. Let's see if we can snap it off.
By the time I run through the final stages her, I know every square inch of this game like the back of my hand. I know I can meditate here to get the temporary flight and reach this Fox yokai. I know how to skip the locked doors and end up with multiple extra keys by the end of the level. I've even found the secret room with rainbows and cats that poop gold. I'm just toying with the enemies by now. I've attained total mastery of the martial arts and nothing can stand in my path. Even Shadow Mantis is a joke now. If you get the bad ending, she gets hypnotized and joins Mantis Lord's clan, but I'm not wasting my time with that. I'm here to end things for good.
Father, I will save you!
10,000 weeks.
Father.
Oh,
Ah,
oh, my head. So, are you going to tell me what's going on?
you don't remember anything, huh? How am I going to begin to explain all of this?
But wait, if Mei Lin used the elixir on her dad, what happened to Hiro's kids?